everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 137. Today I'm going to talk about Keyflower. This is the latest in a series of Key games by Richard Breeze, and this one is also co-designed by Sebastian Bleasdale. I'm going to go ahead and just say it's maybe my favorite Key game so far. I haven't played them all. I played Keythedral and Key Market. I have Key Harvest, but I haven't played it yet. So this is a game that the first time I played it, I was kind of like, what just happened there? So it has a lot of sort of traditional Euro types of things where there's some bidding and there's some actions and there's some special tiles, and it's got sort of a resource management kind of thing, a little bit of sort of networking, I guess, where you have to sort of move goods on your tiles in this little sort of village that you're going to be building, and you've got to move them around. So there's a lot of sort of time management, in a sense, sort of action managements that happen in the game. But it's sort of, a lot of these Key games have the same sort of thing where it's like, it has some of the same stuff you've seen before, but it does it really in a completely different way. So this, I'll show you, it's actually very simple, like mechanically and structurally to play, but there's a ton of variety. So there's 48 different sort of tiles in the main section of tiles. There's some other tiles on the side. So those are 48 completely unique tiles, and some of those are double-sided, so randomly you're going to pull certain tiles into the game depending on the number of players. And some of those tiles are double-sided, so there's 48 plus those double-sided ones, which are kind of act as two possible tiles depending on how you deal out the game. So let me show you how it works, and then I'll come back and tell you a little bit more about it. So just a quick high-level overview of all the components in the game. You see you've got a bunch of tiles out here. You've got some different goods in different colors. You got some skill tiles here. These will actually all be face down. Each player has a little screen here, like so, and you just put all your little goodies back behind that. And these are kind of cool because you can see sort of like a front of the outside of a house, and then you've got sort of like an indoor scene there with like fireplaces and different types of things. And you've got the start player marker here, which may be randomly decided at the beginning of the game and then possibly change hands based on the player's actions in the game. And you can see here you've got these set of green workers here, and these are somewhat special workers that you're going to be using in the game. And then you've got a bag here of workers of 3 different colors. So you'll be most of the time randomly drawing workers out of this bag here. So you've got red, yellow, and blue. And you'll be using these to either take actions on a tile or possibly bidding on a tile that's face up. So to start the game, everybody's going to draw 8 random workers out of a bag here, and they're going to stick them behind their screen. So nobody else is going to see how many of each type of color you have, but everybody's going to start with 8. And then players are going to randomly choose or be given one of these home tiles. Now this game plays up to 6 players, and it plays as low as 2. I've only played a couple of 3-player games and a 4-player game, so I can't speak to the 2-player game. But you're going to randomly just sort of shuffle these up and then hand them out, and whoever has the home 1 will get the start player. So everybody's going to take their home tile and put it in front of their little house there. Then you'll have all your workers behind the screen there. And all of these home tiles are the same, and it's got a little action that you can take on it, which I'll explain in a minute. But you can see it has characteristics that are going to be somewhat common throughout most of the tiles in the game. So you can see it's sort of broken down into different iconographic little areas here. Now this top area here, this top big rectangle, that is the main action you can take. So when you take and put a worker on there, you can do that action right away. Now you can see there's a little box here with an arrow, so it's going to cost you 2 goods, these 2 goods, a gray and a brown good, to upgrade it. And you can see what's going to happen on the back side. And you can also see how many points the tile is going to be worth if you upgrade it. So it's not worth any points as it is, but when I upgrade it, I'm going to get this greater action, a little bit improved of the basic action, and then I'll have 5 points at the end of the game. So the main chunk of tiles that you're going to be dealing with in this game are divided into 4 categories or 4 seasons. So you can take a look here, you can see you've got that little icon there that's on the top of all of these tiles. These are fall. Then you've got summer tiles there. Then you've got spring, and then you've got winter. Well, before the game starts, you're going to randomly pick some of these out of there based on the number of players. So example, in a 4-player game, you'll pull 8 out of each of these stacks, and then you throw the rest in the box, and then you're going to have these come out basically in the 4 rounds. So you've got fall, summer, spring for round 1, 2, and 3. Then you've got winter here. Now winter's going to work a little bit differently. So what you're going to do here actually is you're going to deal out a certain amount of these based on the number of players to each player. So in a 4-player game we'll have 3 each. So we're going to keep these face down. And all of these winter ones are going to have sort of end of game scoring bonuses. It's like, for example, this one is for every 5 of these skill tokens you have, you'll get 10 points. This one is for, you'll choose a type of skill token. There's 3 different types here. So here's 2 of the types. So you'll choose a type that you have the most of, and for each of those you'll get 3 bonus points. And this one is similar for each of the goods. There's a few different types of goods here. You'll choose one that you have the most of. Let's say you have the most brown, and you'll get 1 point for that. And there's a whole assortment of these. I'm obviously not going to go into all of them. But you'll have 3 face down, and you want to sort of keep these in mind as you're playing the game to possibly give yourself sort of a little target to go for. But there's a nice little twist on this, and I'll explain that a little bit later. So the first set of tiles you're going to deal out are going to be these spring tiles here. And based on the number of players, you're going to deal out all the tiles that you set aside for the game. And then players are going to have the opportunity to start bidding on these tiles. But you can also actually take the action of the tile. This is a sort of a pretty interesting mechanic here, because not only are you bidding on them to add to your home village over here, but you can also take the action on the tile sort of in the process while these are being bid on. And then once they, if you win it, you're going to attach this to your village here. You can kind of see there's a road there. You've got to match up the roads so that there's no roads running into grass, etc. And then once they're in your village, you can actually take the action, and other players can even take the action while it's in your village. But you can still take the action while they're out here, which is kind of neat. So how are you going to bid on these tiles? Well, remember at the beginning of the game, everybody's going to get these different colored workers like so. And so if it's my turn and I really want to bid on this, I may take a yellow worker and I may bid on it, and I may put it on this sort of axis there, or that edge, like so. Now what you're going to sort of need to decide before the game starts is where your bids are going to be. So if I was sitting on that side of the table, all my bids maybe would go on this side. And then if somebody else were to come and try to bid on it, and they're sitting on this side of the table, all their bids would go on that side. And so no matter how many hexes you have, so if I was bidding on another hex out here or something, my bids would go on that side. And then somebody else's bids may go there or there. So in a 6-player game, you can see there's 6 sides to these. So everybody will have a side relative to where they're sitting. So you want to leave a little bit of space. Okay, so what are the rules for bidding? Well, initially you can bid with anything. You're going to be bidding with these workers that were behind your screen. So let's say I wanted this tile, I'll put 1 yellow worker out. Now I've basically sort of locked in the type of worker that can be used to bid as well as activate this tile. So if somebody wants to come along, they have to bid more yellow workers than I had. They couldn't bid, 2 red workers or whatever. They'd have to bid 2 yellow workers. So they go ahead and bid 2. And if somebody else wanted to come and bid, they could have to bid 3. Or I can even upgrade my bid, so if I could come back in and outbid them again with 3 yellow workers. But if you're outbid at any time, you can take and move this whole group of workers to another tile to bid on, or even another tile to activate. But you have to move them all as a group. You can't separate them. Now, in addition to locking down the color that you're allowed to bid with, it also locks down the color that you can activate the tile with. So another player, even myself, even if I'm already bidding on it, I can come and put a worker on like so, and I can immediately take this action to give me 2 of these gray cylinders, these stone. And then again, somebody else can come and activate it later, but they've got to pay 1 more worker than was there. So if somebody else could come along and they could bid 2 workers, and they could also take that action. But again, they've got to 1-up me at least, and also keep the color consistency. Finally, somebody else could come along, and if they wanted to take the action really badly, they could put 3 workers on there like so. Now the most workers you can have on a tile is 6. You can bid as many as you want, but the most you can have is 6. So if you really wanted to block somebody from taking the action, you could actually just put 3 on there, take the action. That would be a lot of workers to spend, but there's no way anybody else could 1-up you, because they'd have to put 4 on there, which would cause 7 workers, which wouldn't be illegal. So if you really wanted to block somebody, you could put 3 like that. So you're just going to keep going around and around on the table, either taking actions, placing bids. Now you can pass and then also get back in later. Now the round's going to end when everybody is passed in sequence. So you could kind of try to play a little bit of footsie with people and pass, kind of see what they do, come back in on a later turn. But once everybody passes, then we're going to resolve all the bids. So if it were to end up like this, then this player on this side, these workers would go back into the bag. So they've won the bid, they've spent the workers. This player's workers would actually go back behind their screen because it's a losing bid. So maybe they didn't move them because there was nowhere else they really felt like it was worth them to spend these workers. So if you're in a losing bid situation, these go back behind your screen. Then the winning player is going to get this tile, plus he's going to get all the workers that were on it, and he's going to get these back behind his screen. So when you activate a tile like this that's out for bid, whoever wins that is going to get those workers that you spent. That's pretty interesting. So you'll take the tile here, you'll figure out where you want to put it. Maybe you'll put it there so the roads match up. Take these workers and put them back behind your screen. Now this tile is in your home area. So on later turns, people can actually put workers on there. And it's the same rule. So you could even put your own worker on there. So you could put, let's say, a yellow worker if you wanted, or let's get rid of yellow for a minute, we'll put a red worker on there. So now I've put a red worker and activated it. So another player could come along if they really wanted these stones here. They could put, 2 red workers on there. They would get the stones. And then at the end of the round, I'm going to get any workers that are on any tiles in front of me. So when you're placing workers on somebody else's village, you're basically giving them workers. When you're placing them on your own, then you're sort of keeping them, conserving them for later. Now let's talk about the home tile here. So everybody's got one of these. And so when you put a worker on your home tile, or somebody else's, you could put on somebody else's if you want to do that. You can see it's got a little horse and carriage here with a 1 and then a house. Now what that means is if you had a good on here, let's say I had produced these 2 goods like so, and those wouldn't be there, this one here, and I wanted to move one of these gray ones over to here, because you can see the cost to upgrade this is a gray and a brown. I want to get those moved over. So I'll place the worker here, which means I can move 1 good, 1 space, and you've got to move them along a road. So I would go ahead and move that, and then I can do this, what this house means, which is to upgrade a tile. Now if I had already had a brown one on here, and let's say I took that action, I would have moved that for my 1 move, and then I can upgrade because I've got the 2 matching goods on here. So I can do 1 upgrade. I'll spin these back to the supply, rotate this sort of along its horizontal axis so all the roads match the same as they do on the other side, and I've upgraded that tile. So now if I were to take the upgrade action, let's say somebody else wanted to come along and they put these 2 workers on there, because now I've upgraded my upgrade action. So now if I put workers on here, I can move 2 cubes 1 space, or 1 cube 2 spaces, and then I can also do an upgrade. And you can see there's improved ones out here that you can win to bid. So if you had this one and then upgrade it, you could move 4 cubes 1 space, or 1 cube 4 spaces, or any sort of combination of thereof, and then you could upgrade actually 2 tiles with this. Now you can see this one actually costs a little pickaxe here. Now when you collect these little skill tiles here, you're going to put these behind your screen like here. So you don't actually have to have them on the tile like that. But to upgrade that one, you've got to spin one of these back into the supply. Again, you upgrade it like this, flip it over, and then now this tile is worth 3 points, and instead of producing a stone and another stone, it produces a stone and a gold. Now gold is interesting because at the end of the game they're each worth a point, but you can also use these as any other resource. So if you're missing a resource but you get some gold, it gives you a little bit more flexibility. So let's talk about a little bit of some of the more unique tiles. I'm not going to get into every last tile because there would be quite a ton to talk about because there's, like I said, 48 unique ones plus the double-sided one. So let's take a look at a couple more. Okay, let's look at this one here. So this one basically says if you spend a yellow worker, you can get one of these special green workers. Now remember, the green workers are not in the bag, they're out in the general supply. So if I were to go on here, I need to activate it with a worker. It doesn't matter what color you activate it with, as long as it's consistent with all the other workers that are on it. So I could activate it with a red worker, then I've got to spend a yellow worker back into the bag, and then I can get a green worker. Now what's neat about the green workers is, especially at the beginning of the game, nobody's going to have any of these. So if this tile was, say, out for bid, or let's do a better example here. Let's say this tile is out for bid, because this is really going to upgrade my, my carriage capacity and my upgrade capacity. This is out for bid. I take the green worker, I put it there, boom. That's probably going to be mine, especially early in the game, because nobody's going to have any green workers and they can't bid with any other color of workers. Next, let's look at some of the tiles that come out in summer. Now you can see some of these are boats, and these are actually double-sided. So depending how you randomly deal these out, you may have one or the other effect in play for this game. So like this one is basically, this one allows me to arrange my tiles however I want. I don't have to match roads up. The map doesn't have to make sense. Plus, I can also transport goods across tiles no matter what. I don't have to go across a road, so that can be kind of useful. Then on the other side of this, It basically multiplies my current carriage capacity, whatever that is, and my upgrade capacity by 2. Also very nice. And then you've got some other ones here, like if you put a worker there, you'll grab 2 out of the bag, you upgrade it, you put 1 on here, and if you do it on this side, you got 3 out of the bag. Another boat here. This is an interesting one. Whoever has this one in their little village is allowed to bid workers of another color. So if I had bid, let's say I was bidding for this one for argument's sake, I had bid a yellow, then Billy or whatever could come in with 2 reds, like so. So that can be very effective. And you can really get hosed if you don't realize that somebody else has that. You may think you're okay. On the other side of this is similar to that. And it basically means, so if somebody had bid on it or used it for production, you can bid place other workers on there. So if somebody had used this tile here and they'd placed a yellow on there, then I could place 2 other workers, and this doesn't matter the color. So you could just place 2 any other workers, and it says to lay them down like so. So it lets you break that rule. Also effective. And there's a whole bunch of these in here, and these boats are really sort of, these aren't, you can't take actions with the boat, but it's sort of a state effect, a special ability that your little village gets. Let's just take a quick look at some of the fall tiles here. This one's basically, you get that, it's worth 3 points already. If you upgrade it with any 3 goods, that's what those little empty goods looks means, then you flip it over, you get 7 points. Here's a similar one, it's worth nothing, but if you upgrade it with 2 gold, you get 7 points. There's a lot more scoring tiles in here, and then there's just a whole bunch of tiles in this one. So now we talked about spring, summer, and fall. Now let's get to the winter tiles. Now remember, everybody had a certain number of these behind their screen face down in their possession. So what you're going to do here is, going into winter, you're not going to just deal out tiles from the stack. Each player is going to have to choose some of these to put out for bid. Now you always have to choose at least one, but you can choose all of them if you want, and then you put the others back in the box. So once these are out here, you may not necessarily be the one to win these. You're going to put them out, and then everybody's going to go ahead and bid on them. And so you want to be sort of careful and kind of gauge what people have been doing in the game, and you're going to kind of know and have an idea of what you were going for, but other people may be set up to grab one of these tiles as well. So you're going to need to be very cognizant about what you put out and what you're going to be committed to sort of trying to win. Finally, we're always going to have these boat tiles out here, and then these turn order tiles. And then basically what you're going to do is you're going to bid on these turn order tiles, and these are going to allow you to choose the first boat that you want. You won't actually bid directly on the boats. So if you look at this boat here, you can see every round I'm going to put out this many workers from the bag. So I'll randomly take, in this case, 7 workers, and then 1 skill tile. So the skill tile is going to come out face down like that, and then you put all the workers on there like so. And then when you bid on these tiles, that means you're going to get the first, second, and the third choice of the boats. And then this is set up for a 4-player game, so the last person will just get whatever's left. So again, you bid just like you do before. If I bid a yellow there, somebody else can bid 2 yellow on this side or whatever. Whoever wins this one is also going to get the start player marker. And then this guy is going to get the first choice of boat. So he maybe chooses the guy with 7 workers on it, and then 1 tile, or 6 workers and 2 skill tiles, or etc. Now these are actually going to sort of degrade after each round. So this one, after spring, you're going to flip this one over, and it's only going to have 4 workers and 1 tile on it. And then you can see there's a winter bonus there. So all of these are going to actually flip over. So that one's going to flip over after spring. This one will flip over after summer. And so will this one. And then this one will actually flip over after fall. And you can see each of these has a little end of game bonus that you're going to get. So when winter comes, you're not actually going to put any workers out on these tiles. So whoever wins this is actually going to get this tile and the first choice of the boat tiles. So let's say I won this one and I won this one. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my village. And remember, I've got to match the roads and everything. And then this is going to give me 1 point for each tile that's around it. And the same with this one and this one. So if I take and add this one, I can add this one to my little river. This one will give me 1 point for my current carriage level. So if I had upgraded that, that might be a good one to take. This one will give me this number of points based on the length of my river, etc. Now again, you may bid for this one because it's going to give you the start player marker. And the start player marker at the end of the game has a cool little effect where he can be anything. So you can count him as a certain type of worker, as a certain type of good, or even as a skill tile. So you may really want that to fill out one of these sort of end of game bonuses like so. So if you had, let's say, where's that one at? There it is. So if you had this one, basically for each set of the 3 different types of skill tiles, you get 10 points, and you had like one set completed, and then these 2 of another set, then you can use the start player marker to count as that last one. And that's the game. You're going to play 4 rounds. You're going to get new workers every turn. You're going to add tiles to your village. You're going to get special abilities. Try to use your upgrade on your home tile. And then again, you're going to try to target the end of game bonuses that you have. And that's it. Okay, hope you enjoyed the overview. I think this game may appear a little bit more complex than it actually is. Or maybe the opposite. Because basically you're bidding on a tile or you're activating a tile either on the board at somebody else's village in your village. So you got to really manage those workers. You're going to get new workers every turn. You're going to have sort of an assortment of different colors. You may only have, like, say, 1 yellow worker and a bunch of blues. So you don't really want to bid with that yellow worker, especially earlier in the round, because you're going to probably get outbid because there's going to be somebody that has a few yellows. So maybe you hold that yellow and maybe just use it on your own tile, or you try to sneak in and maybe grab a tile that nobody's really bid on yet. Maybe you've seen a lot of yellow workers come out and you think, okay, people have mostly spent their yellow workers. And you try to sort of ninja a tile. Like I said earlier, it's going to play out quite a bit differently. We had a game just last night actually where the carriage and upgrade tiles didn't really come out, the really nice ones. And so there wasn't really a lot of ways to get the cubes moved around into the different tiles to upgrade them and get them for more points. So I believe the winning score of that one was only about 40 points. And then another game where that tile was out there, and the winner was like 76 or something, and then another game was 60. So yeah, it's going to play out quite a bit differently. Now you can see the upcoming tiles except for the winner tile, so you can kind of figure out sort of a strategy there. But there's just a lot of variety, a lot of different things you can get. And like those boats that give you the special abilities, you have to be sort of cognizant of that. And it's like everything it's good. Like everything you get is going to be a good thing. So it's not really going to hurt you. It's just there's going to be a best thing to get. So I really like it. And it has that sort of, and I hesitate to bring it up because it's not a very popular game. It's a game that I like. And I think this is, it's way beyond this, but it reminds me of the Spiker Stock, where you have your worker and you go into bid and get a card, but you're really kind of waiting as long as you can and really have to be very cognizant of what's out there, and then really waiting to, okay, now I'm going to go in and try to get this, or sort of pussyfoot around, that one that you really want, because you don't want to go in there too early and then you get outbid and there's no way you can max or overmatch that bid. So yeah, it's really neat. It's really simple. You just bid and activate stuff, and then you just really have to get into the different interlocking interactions between all the different tiles. And if you get nice tiles in front of you, it's cool because then people maybe will need certain goods to upgrade their tiles. And so if you get some of those, they can put workers on your stuff. And then at the end of the round, you're going to get a bunch of workers, plus whatever workers you get from both. So there's a lot going on, and I really enjoy it, but I really like the structural simplicity of it. So I think this game is going to be more readily available soon, I think. So anyway, if you can get this at a reasonable price, I would definitely check it out. So thanks.